Ever get that nagging feeling that something's just off? Not your usual stress, but something deeper,
Hmm.
like a sense of inner calm, maybe a spiritual kind of balance. That's just gone. That's what we're digging into today. How you spot when that specific kind of peace is fading, and what steps you might take to maybe get it back. Think of it as understanding your inner compass when it feels a bit haywire.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? This idea of the peace of God is, well, it's quite distinct from just feeling relaxed. It's not simply about having a quiet moment. It's described as this deep spiritual security, almost like a bedrock, that holds up even when life gets chaotic. Philippians talks about it, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. It suggests something rooted beyond just our day-to-day
Okay,
situation.
surpasses understanding. So how do we know if that's what's missing? Not just, a bad mood or a tough week. What are the signs?
Well, one pretty strong signal can be this anxiety that you can't really pin down. It's just there, this sort of undercurrent of unease, not necessarily tied to one specific worry. You might also notice it's harder to uh, pray sincerely, or there's a feeling like your connection is blocked somehow.
Right, like trying to make a call with new bars, a spiritual dead zone.
Yeah.
What else might signal this?
Decision making can suddenly feel really heavy. Even small choices might seem confusing, like that inner clarity just isn't there. And emotionally, maybe there's this persistent weightiness or a fatigue that sleep doesn't really fix. A really key one can be when scripture or maybe spiritual practices that usually bring comfort just feel flat,
Yeah.
leading to the sense of being cut off, spiritually isolated.
Okay, so we see the signs, that feeling of being disconnected. But what causes it? What's actually behind losing that specific kind of inner peace?
The sources we looked at point to a few things. One area is often a sense of inner conflict, maybe doing things we know aren't quite right, sometimes called hidden sin or just disobedience. That creates friction inside. Another big factor is simply, well, letting those spiritual habits slide, less prayer, not engaging with scripture, maybe pulling back from fellowship or community.
Makes sense.
Then
Like
there,
any connection, right? If you don't nurture it, what else kind of chips away at it?
oh, the sheer volume of noise in modern life, it's huge. All the distractions, social media feeds, constant work emails, the news cycle, just general worry. It can create so much mental clutter that it basically drowns out that quieter, deeper sense of peace. And of course, significant emotional events, crises, or trauma, those can definitely shake your spiritual foundations and make it hard to feel that groundedness.
Yeah, life definitely throws curveballs. So, okay, if someone's feeling this, feeling that peace has slipped away,
Yeah.
how do they start finding their way back? What are some actual steps?
I think the first step is just acknowledging it gently, without beating yourself up, seeing it less as a failure and more as a signal, maybe a kind of spiritual wake-up call. Then it's about consciously deciding to turn back towards that connection. Humility is really important here, I think, just being open again.
Right, humility, not trying to force it, but being willing. What about practical things? What can you do?
Sincere prayer is huge, even if you don't have the words. Maybe it's just a feeling, a sigh, a simple help. Psalm 51 talks about a broken and contrite heart, that honesty is what matters. And re-engaging with scripture can be powerful. Maybe start with something comforting like the Psalms or the Gospels. Let those words speak again.
Going back to basics almost.
Exactly. And actively carving out quiet time. Intentionally stepping away from the phone, the news, the demands. Creating moments of stillness where you can actually hear that inner sense again. And finally, it helps to remember this piece is often described as a fruit of the Spirit. That means it's something you receive through that relationship, not something you manufacture on your own.
Ah, okay. So it's more about tending the garden, nurturing the connection, rather than trying to build the peace yourself. That's a helpful way to think about it. So the bottom line.
Well, the core takeaway seems to be that losing this specific kind of peace, this deep spiritual calm, it isn't usually a final state. It's more like a check engine light. It's a signal, really, an invitation to return, to seek that deeper connection again. The sense is that the divine presence hasn't vanished. It's waiting for you to turn back towards it.
That's quite a hopeful thought, actually, that it's an invitation, not an ending. Maybe just take a quiet moment after this, wherever you're listening, just to breathe and reflect on that idea. And hey, if this conversation resonated with you, please feel free to share this deep dive. Thanks for exploring this with us today.